Are you preparing for your Cloud DevOps Engineer, Cloud Architect, Cloud Administrator, or Cloud Support Engineer interviews? Then mastering Azure Container Instances is crucial. It's the key to rapidly deploying isolated containers without managing complex orchestrators, a common scenario for troubleshooting, batch jobs, and development tasks. In today's video, we are diving deep into Azure Container Instances, an incredible service that lets you deploy and manage your containers with ease. We'll walk you through real-world examples and demo on how to deploy Azure Container Instances more smoothly, faster, and more efficiently. But that's not all. If you want to take your skills to the next level and master these top skills of Azure containerization, we have got something special for you. We are offering a free Azure Job Masterclass where we will cover everything you need to know to get hands-on experience with Azure, starting from the basics and going all the way up to advanced deployment strategies. So make sure you grab this opportunity by registering through the link given in the description below. Also, we have taken this video from our Azure Job-Oriented program, which helps thousands of learners like Gopinath, David, and many to get into Azure roles like Solution Architect, Cloud DevOps Engineer, and so on. So let's get into the video.
Azure Container Instance. Okay, so ACI or Azure Container Instance, this is basically one of the, you can say, it will provide you group of container or standalone container solution. If you're looking for, then in that case, we will be able to pick and choose that what sort of deployment we are like looking at it, where you can plug and play and host your particular solutions on top of it. Container instance basically offers container deployment from you can say from different sources of container images. Like you can consider that Docker Hub, Azure Container Registry, or private registry. So you may have the option where you can decide that from where you want to host your particular container image and publish it. It is best suitable for, you can say, running standalone jobs, or you can say applications, etc. In those kind of scenario, if you have a criteria, then this is basically a way to go. So if you remember, while talking about the scenario of this thing, Azure Compute Decision Tree, that when we are going through with Azure Container, Azure Compute Decision Tree, then here it will provide you, like if you're not looking for full-fledged orchestration, then Azure Container Instance is best suitable. But if you are looking for orchestration like Kubernetes or Container Apps or Red Hat OpenShift and all, then in that case, you can go for one of these options, or maybe you can say one of these particular criteria where you will be able to plan and manage and take care of your particular containerized approach, and you can orchestrate your particular infrastructure and the services what we are like looking at it. So it's more about like planning, or maybe you can say it's more about like selection criteria, that what we are expecting out of our container approach, and then how you would like to go for those particular scenarios. So here I always recommend that when we are planning to take a call that which service is best suitable for your particular cloud driven scenario, or you're planning to host your particular containerized approach and all that, then I think this is something maybe we can take a call, that what are the features we are expecting in terms of application, what are the features we are expecting into the environment. Are we looking for DevOps? Are we looking for security? Are we looking for a couple of other features also to be associated with that? Then in that particular case, you will be able to pick and choose the right set of component, or right set of services what we are like looking at it. So it's more about like a objective where you can pick and choose and adapt for right services, and with that particular service you will be able to go ahead with the specific criteria, and then you can plan that and implement that particular problem statement or understand that particular requirement, and then probably you will be able to go ahead with those options. So this like decision tree is like well suggested or recommended particular criteria when you guys are planning for any of your particular solution or services via like planning and implementing something with the cloud perspective. Then in that case, this is something probably you should look into it, right? So here, container instance basically, I mean, there is not much in terms of theory, but it's more about practical. So I will show you that a particular demo where we can create container instance with the implementation activity for like containerized approach, where we can pick up like container image from the quick start, or maybe you can say readily available container image, and from there we will be deployed. So here to begin with container instance, we can search for container instance and say create container instance. And I will provide resource group name. Let's say Azure CI-RG container instance resource group. Container instance name. So Azure CI demo. I'll put my name extension and some number. Central US will be the region. No availability zone required. Earlier, this availability zone was not offered even in container instance, but now Microsoft started offering availability zones in all the possible services. Like you can say services like you can consider in terms of infrastructure as a service and platform as a service, and both the criteria, you will see this particular options to be available. So here I will say like as of now, it's not required. The pricing tier is there. So there are standard and confidential. These two particular pricing policies are there. As of now, we will go for the standard one only. And here we have some selection criteria from where we can pick up the image. And this particular image basically help you out to deploy your application with readily available image instance as a part of it. So either I can pick up quick start image provided by Microsoft, where you can select Nginx, Hello World, or maybe some particular AMD related server images are provided. So we can pick up one of them. I'll leave it right now. Hello World is the default one. You have the container registry as well. Now, container registry is like nowadays, like every organization wants their own container image to be implemented, right? Say, for example, if you are planning to go ahead with any DevOps related activities, right? So nowadays, this is like very much required or in demand, where a lot of enterprises moving towards DevOps terminology, and they are expecting their automation to be implemented. So here I can say, like, if I'm looking for Azure DevOps, right? So here I can consider this way that probably I will getting started with my container image to be built and deployed via my DevOps automation. So here you can have ADO in place. ADO stands for Azure DevOps, right? Like in industry, people also call it out as an ADO as well. So you can have Azure DevOps in place, and under this particular Azure DevOps, you will follow two different type of activities as a part of it. So these particular activities refers to you can build your you can build CI and CD pipelines, right? So you can have CI and CD. So you will be able to go ahead with the process where you will create your CI pipeline and the CD pipeline. Okay. So this CI/CD pipelines basically provide you a kind of option where you can go for build and release activity to be taken care as a part of this particular CI/CD pipeline, right? And under these two particular pipelines, what is expected? You will create your build task, right? So what all those build tasks are? So build tasks are more about like access the code repository, right? You will perform Docker command activity where you will get started with build image, right, or build container image or Docker image, right? You can pull the image. First of all, it will be pull the image. After that, it will go for the Docker build image and all, right? You can have pull image, build Docker image, and push a container image to container registry. So this is something probably you expect under build activity, right? And under this particular build, you can have in between particular component, or probably you can say in between service, which is available as a part of your containerization approach, where you can simply go ahead with container registries. So this is also known as an ACR, right? So ACR basically provide you a kind of option where you will be able to build your container image and upload into this container registry. So this container registry become your centralized placeholder where you can upload your all latest container image uploaded into this container registry. And this can be created in terms of container image access control. It could be public or private, and then you can upload your container image inside that. And from there, you will get started with your particular release activities. So you will be going through with your release task. Okay. So these release tasks basically refer to container image, right? It will refer to container image. It will download container image from the ACR and deploy it into target environment. So what all the target environments are there? So target environment here I can consider from the Azure perspective, because since we are performing this Azure DevOps automation, so in that particular case, you will build your image and all that particular activity which is required for your environment. That is something you will go for it. And at the end, you will be able to deploy your particular applications into this one of these target platform, what we are expecting as an output. So it is completely similar approach when it goes to the deployment perspective, right? So if you're planning to build and host your particular applications and all of that, you can get started with first of all container instance if you're looking for standalone apps or standalone jobs or anything you want to target. If you are not looking for, again, hear me out, if you are not looking for Kubernetes, then Azure is offering you this particular options where container apps become more reliable, where you just need to host your particular containerization based on the orchestration layer and all of that, you will be able to go for it. But yeah, I mean, if you're coming from Kubernetes background, then probably this is basically a way to go where you can build and host your particular containerization approach and you can manage your orchestration layer the way it is expected. So here I can consider that it will provide you a kind of option, or it will provide you a kind of like activity where you will be able to simply go ahead with your release activities as a part of it. So normally when we go through with our day-to-day automation activities, this is basically the high level path or high level picture maybe you can think of. So here the assumption is that whatever the container registry, if we're gonna plan or implement over here, you may have that container registry in place. You may select what is the current image you are planning to deploy and what is the tag of that particular image. Because normally what is happening, we do keep on building and publishing those container image into container registry. This is your placeholder where you can upload all your container images, and you can provide secure access to your developers or people who gonna host that. They will get that particular secure access and then they will be able to host that particular services the way it is expected. So ultimately, the goal over here is that we need to identify, or maybe you can say, we need to visualize that how that is something going to be work out, or maybe you can say like how those particular things going to be get deployed, and then probably you will be able to host that particular services as and when required. So ultimately, the goal over here is that it will provide you a kind of overall approach, or maybe you can say it will provide you kind of like overall activity where you can simply design and deploy your particular end-to-end solutions, or probably you can say end-to-end activity with the help of this automation, and then you will be able to go ahead with those options the way it is expected. So ultimately, the scope over here is that it's more about like planning and working with the right set of like deployment process, and then from there you will be able to pick up your container images. So either I can pick up from Quickstart, where Microsoft is offering certain image container registry, which you build and you publish and you wanted to deploy it from your application code and all. Whereas other registry, which are like Docker Hub and all, basically this is like recently introduced features with the Microsoft. So there you can provide the path of that container image location, where Docker Hub plays an important role as well. So here Docker Hub is also one of the popular container registry where you can build and host your particular container image, and you have both the type of options available. You can use your public images, or you can use private images, and those images you can integrate within your deployment strategy, what you are like looking at it. So it's more about like planning and working with one of the approach, and you will be able to pick and choose the right set of component and go ahead with that option what we are like looking at it. So ultimately, the objective over here is that you need to identify, or maybe you can say you need to visualize that what is the scope you are looking at it, and based on that particular scope, you can finalize that which option or which approach probably best suitable for you, and then accordingly you will be able to go ahead with that specific option what we are looking at it. So currently, I will select the quick start image, and there is a hello world latest image is available. Okay, now here you will see the size of the instance what is getting provisioned back into the container instance. Though it's a managed platform for hosting your container based activity and all, it provides you kind of runtime environment setup where what kind of machine capacity you are expecting, and then accordingly you will be able to host that. So as of now, I'm not changing. I will leave it as it is, all these particular image size and all. The next important area is your DNS. So if we are planning to interact with this particular container image, right? So Azure CI, I'm just giving unique name, so it will become unique DNS name. And this DNS, so normally your containers also, if we want to expose our container instance, because normally what is happening, people have a lot of misconception that in virtual machine we can expose our particular custom port numbers and all that stuff, and container doesn't offer all that particular features. But in a way, if you see, containers are offering you least privilege mechanism by default. They are isolated by nature. They do not offer you direct access to any of these services. It is like by default isolated from external world. And as a developer, or probably as an organization, whatever the features you want to expose to the outer world, those features only you can associate with your port numbers or your protocols and all of that, and then accordingly you will be able to go ahead with that options what we are like looking at it. So ultimately, like the goal over here is that it's more about planning, or maybe you can say working with your particular approach, and it will help you out in terms of planning and implementing some of your particular containerization approach, and then probably you can expose them those port numbers and everything via your code based activity as well, or sometimes like you get this particular user interface to do so. The next thing is monitoring. Now, monitoring perspective, it will provide you log analytics workspace. So earlier, Microsoft used to provide this log shipping, or maybe you can say this log related activity with different mechanism altogether. But now they started offering the log related activities with log analytics workspace, and it will provide you a kind of option where you will be able to take care of your logs to be captured. So especially like containerization point of view, a lot of organizations are dependent on these things. What do you call Prometheus or you can say there are multiple particular monitoring tool chains are available in market, right? Datadog, Splunk, New Relic. There are multiple tool chains are there, App Dynamics. So whichever tools like most comfortable from the organization perspective, because most of the time like organization also purchases licenses as well. So in that particular case, you can pick and choose the right set of services, and then accordingly you will be able to go ahead with that option, and then accordingly you can plan that particular options for your particular containerization approach and all. So monitoring perspective, right now it will get created by default. Advanced section. So in case like if container gets failed, what do you want to do? In case of like restart policy on failure. So I just wanted like my container to be restarted, and you can also have some particular private key, public key also associated for encryption point of view, what you're looking at it. So that these are some of the standard configuration what we get it when it comes to container instance. So containerization point of view, this is like one of the feature, or maybe you can say the option what you can follow when it comes to standalone container image related requirement. If you have, then in that particular case you will be able to go ahead with that, and it will help you out in terms of going through with those options, or maybe you can say going through with those particular activity the way it is expected. So ultimately, the goal over here is that it will provide you a kind of best suitable feature in terms of working with the particular overall criteria when it comes to like containerization perspective, where you wanted to build and host your particular container images, and you want to like just up and running with some of the services. A lot of people uses container instance for cloud burst scenario as well, specifically for AKS and all. So what do you mean by cloud burst? So cloud burst is more about like, okay, current whatever resources you have consumed already, right? And if you wanted to scale out with more resources for time being activity, then you do not prefer to provision something newly and then you get started with it, right? So in that particular case, you have this particular option available as a part of it, and then accordingly you will be able to go ahead with that a particular scenario, or you will be able to go ahead with the specific scope, and then you can provision that options the way it is expected. So ultimately, like the goal over here is that it's more about like uh, they can extend their workloads to container instance, because it will get quickly provisioned, and then you can extend your particular target workload into that environment, and you will be able to go ahead with that. So here, if you see, currently you have this containers, you have this particular like environment is up and running. Here you have a particular DNS label also available with which we have just now passed on. And if you open up that particular endpoint, it will give you a response that currently the welcome page or hello world page gets created for you, and you will be able to see your particular container instances up and running. So if you have, say for example, you have older version of your servers, and now you are going ahead with that particular activity where you just wanted to make sure that how you wanted to like plan, or maybe you can say how you wanted to perform that particular activity, then in that particular scenario you will be able to like plan, or maybe you will be able to go ahead with that specific activity, and then accordingly you can simplify, or you will be able to play around with those options the way it is expected. So ultimately, what we are planning, or what we are like looking at it, that how you want to plan, or maybe you can say how you want to manage this particular sort of activity, where you just need to simplify that how these particular things maybe you can go ahead with that, and then accordingly you may simply plan and manage and work around with those activities the way it is expected. So ultimately, the goal over here is that we need to identify, or maybe you can say we need to visualize that in case of planning and working with these particular options or with this particular activity, you will be able to plug and play and manage that particular scope, and then accordingly, you can simply go ahead with the selection criteria what we are looking at it, right? So here we need to figure it out the options. that which one is best suitable for you. As I said, like this is just the simple activity where you can simply create and configure your particular environment, and then here you can simply go ahead with the option. So migration point of view, which I was talking about. So here as of now, the container instance pretty much straightforward, where you have Linux based OS and you just wanted to plug and play and deploy your services. Then this is like a simple approach where you pick up this, build and host your particular services, and that's it. You can up and running. And that is one of the reason there is no further options are available in this service, right? Like if I'm looking for scalability, I wanted to perform orchestration layers and all. So just to simplify the ask of this service, as I said, or feature of this particular service, it is just pretty much straightforward that you provision it, deploy it, and then forget about it. There is no orchestration, there is no further feature. It's just that standalone containerized approach. And then if you're planning to perform these kind of expectations or services and all of that, then I think you will be able to go ahead with those options, and then accordingly you may simply plug and play and manage those options the way it is expected. So ultimately, the goal over here is that we need to identify, or maybe you can say we need to visualize that what sort of services or approach or features we are like looking at it, and then accordingly you may simply plan, or you may select that which service you are planning to go for, and then accordingly you may simply plug and play and provision your particular containerization related approach, what we are like looking at it, right? So this is the simple demo of container instance.
So that's a clip from our cloud certification and job focus program, where our expert covered the detailed explanation and demo on Azure Container Instances. So these are the skills that directly map to a real cloud DevOps engineer, solution architect, cloud engineer, or cloud support job roles. And also, if you want to go deeper and accelerate your career, join our free Azure Job Masterclass mentioned earlier. We'll guide you on mastering cloud skills, cracking interviews, and building a portfolio that top companies are looking for. Seats are limited, so grab yours today. Register through the link given in the description below. Also, make sure that you watch this video next.